Hey everyone, welcome to my channel to all things football and all things career mode. Today I am so excited to bring to you guys my new series, the Valencia Career Mode. This is one of the most historic clubs in Spain, without a doubt. Obviously Barcelona and Real Madrid are ahead of everyone else, but then it's Atletico and Valencia right behind. 5th all-time in points, 5th all-time in La Liga titles with 6. Won as recently as 2004, 2 Champions League appearances in the finals, and 1 Europa League trophy. It really is a big club who has just fallen on tough times, but we have had such good players in the past, especially in the last 2 decades. Raúl Albiol, Mendieta, David Silva, David Villa, Cancelo, Jordi Alba, so many good players. And it's up to us to take this club, which is a bit down, and bring them back to the glory days, guys. It's going to be a total overhaul. I'm going to be implementing a very specific system with very specific players. So I'm going to make an exception to my usual rule and enable the transfer window because I want to get started right away on this rebuild. Let's look at our board goals, guys. A pretty vanilla one for the youth development. Just sign 1 player in each position. We definitely want to do that, and Youth Academy will play a crucial role in this series, guys. I want to bring in as much talent, especially Spanish talent, through the ranks as possible. Brand exposure for us is very important for the board. Get a streak of 7 games without defeating home matches. It might be a little bit tricky, but if we start playing well, I believe we can do it. Sign 1 crucial player assigned to a forward position, no problem. It's exactly what I had in mind. In terms of financials, just make a 3 million profit off youth players in 2 seasons. No problem. With our youth setup, we'll be able to do that easily. In terms of domestic success, this is where it gets interesting, guys. We need to qualify for a European competition in our first season. This is the short-term goal. So that means 6th place gets you Conference League. It's going to be difficult. We need to beat out teams like Real Sociedad, Real Betis. We will try our best. Get round of 16 in the Copa España. Not too bad. And our long-term goal is to get Champions League in that 2nd season. That is a tall order because you're going to have to oust a team like Sevilla, who is no pushover. Maybe Atleti or Barca if they really fall in any particular season. But that is a tough ask. However, the board is providing us the funds to do it and the runway of 2 years. So it's a tall task, but I am up for the challenge, guys. 60 million is a lot of money in the La Liga. And we're going to use every penny to, like I said, change the direction of this club, implement a very specific system, which I will discuss later on in this video. For now, we're just going to take a look at the players we have currently in our squad. Okay, so as I go through the players here, I'm going to give you the broad strokes of what I expect from each position in terms of stats, attributes, so that the guy can fit into our system. We're going to be playing a 3-4-3 diamond, Cruyff style, just like he did in Barcelona. So I'm going to need some specific stats for specific positions. In terms of goalkeepers, he needs to be able to play out from the back, be comfortable on the ball. So stuff like kicking, short passing. Silasen fits this role perfectly. He's our highest rated goalkeeper, so he starts. Our backup is also very capable. He's of this mold, so we don't have to look for goalkeepers. In terms of Rivero, he's younger. He doesn't fit this mold. I'm going to move him on. Mamardashvili doesn't fit this mold, but at 20, with this overall and this potential, I'm willing to make this a project. Hopefully, he becomes our goalkeeper for the future. In terms of outfield players, what I really need everyone to have is short pass, long pass. Everyone needs to have a high degree of proficiency in passing. This is a possession-based football, attacking football, and everyone needs to have this. In terms of fullbacks, I also need them to be fast, to have stamina, and I need them to be able to have stats in terms of going forward, attacking positioning, just any offensive stats, they're going to be bombing forward. So Gaia is perfect. He's just perfect. And he's our captain. He's one of our best players, and he's going nowhere. We have a young Vasquez who I'm very hopeful for. With some work, I believe he can become a very good backup. And for now, we have Lato, who is just fine at that position. He's backing up Gaia, and that's perfectly fine. In terms of CBs, what I need you to have is, again, passing. So everyone is going ball-playing defender. And you need to have a little bit of mobility and defensive stats. So at 17, 65 rated, I'm really hopeful Mosquera will become a starting CB for us at some point. Tarega, a bit older, a bit lower overall. We'll see how he develops, but he's likely going to get moved on. Diakabi is an interesting case. He's a decent CB, but he's 24. He doesn't really have that great mobility or passing. If there's a good offer, he will probably get moved on. Guillamon, on the other hand, is our homegrown product from Valencia. He's got great passing, and if I just work on the mobility, he will be exactly what we need. So I'm really hopeful for him. He's also got 4 weak foot, so that's a great asset. Paulista, however, is our starting CB. Great passing. He's our most mobile CB, so he's going to be starting, and maybe I can juice 2 or 3 good years out of him. In terms of Aldaret, he's on loan, so he'll be going back. Now, Correa at right back is an interesting case because he has really good potential and he's young, but he's just fast, and that's all he is. He doesn't have good passing. He doesn't really have good defensive stats, and he's not really that good going forward. Yes, he has 4 weak foot. Maybe I can make something out of him, but I'm gonna probably move him on if I get a good offer. I know you want to see some of these guys feature in the career mode, but he just doesn't fit the system that I'm trying to play. Josera is a bit like Tarega. We'll see what happens, how he develops, but he'll probably get moved on. Folkier is an interesting situation. He's in a bit of a transition state for us. He'll do us a job and probably get moved on in a season or two. He's aging. I'm going to bring in someone better. Pizzini, he's old, he's not that good, and his short passing is garbage. Like, I'm sorry, you're gone. Burlaknami, and this is an interesting thing. CDMs in my career mode for this system, they really don't need to be remarkable. They need to have short passing. They need to be a little bit mobile, stamina. They really don't need to be flashy. So this guy with 72 short passing, 60 long passing at 19, I think this guy can become something of a backup for us. I think he actually has potential, even though his other stats don't look that remarkable. Vas, I mean, this is just a perfect utility player. He can literally play every position on the field. Left back, right back, center mid, striker, anything. In the middle of the park, out wide, anything. So he is staying, and hopefully as long as possible. Hopefully his stats don't go down because he's just the perfect utility player, a manager's dream. Uroš Račić is a great CDM, and I'm gonna convert him into the CB because he's 6'4" and he has great passing. He can actually take over for Paulista. It's a really interesting choice, I think. But with 4 weak foot, I just feel like I can find someone at CDM, but this is that perfect ball-playing CB. Condredi, and in terms of the CMs, I need, obviously, the short passing to be the highest in this area, but I also need certain CMs to be able to go forward, certain CMs to be able to maybe have a little bit more defensive stats. So different things for different players. Condredi has really good long shots. If I can get the short passing up, he'll be a great player for us. At 1967 overall, he's a keeper. Soler and Gaia are not moving. They're not going anywhere. These guys are just perfect. I mean, look at his stats. 4 weak foot, excellent short passing, and he's still young, still growing. This is a perfect player for me. Gozabales, a great prospect. We'll see what turns in. I mean, maybe he goes up incredibly and he starts playing, but he's got the stats where it counts, so he's going to be in the squad. Cheryshev, unfortunately, isn't. And our wide players, what they need is, again, a focus on short passing and a focus on beating your man. He has this in his locker, but his short passing isn't the greatest. He's aging, and I'm going to be looking to move him on, especially since he's injury prone. Blanco, on the other hand, is a little bit younger. I can mold him into exactly what I need, so he's going to stay. He's going to rotate in. Costa is loaned in, so he will go back to his parent club. Musa is an interesting case because he's 18, and I will make this a project, make his short passing better. I'm going to change him from a right mid to a right wing. I already did that, and he's going to be a wide playmaker training that passing ability. In terms of Jason, again, he doesn't have room to grow, and he doesn't have the stats I require. He's going to be moved on. Duro is another loanee, so he'll go back to his parent club. Gomez is a tough choice because he is a great striker, and some of his stats are excellent, just excellent, but he's just not what I need. He is a classic striker more so, and I need a more mobile false nine. So he's not going to feature. I'm going to sell him. We're going to get a nice fee, and we're going to bring someone else in. I'm sorry if you wanted to see him in the career mode, but he's just not what I need. Guedes is listed as a striker, but I'm actually going to change him to a left wing. And, I mean, he's one of our best players. He's, I think, a record transfer fee when we brought him in for 40. So he's definitely going to stay in the club, and he has the potential to be that star left winger for us. Again, what I need from these guys is pace, ability to beat a man, and obviously passing. So he has all that. He's going to grow, and he'll be quite good. The other players I have for attackers in terms of Marcos, Andre, they're going to stay in the club and play a part, do a role, but they're going to get moved on at some point, just like Vallejo. Gonna actually switch Vallejo to right wing and train him in passing. Maybe he can play a fringe role here or there, but he's more of a transitional player for us. We're gonna be slowly morphing this team into specialists and playing exactly the type of football I need. In a 3-4-3 diamond, Cruyff, it's gonna be very specific. So a lot of players like this are just going to move on. We're going to bring in new faces. This is going to be a completely different squad, guys. But that's basically the general idea. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, a big source of first-team players for us will be our youth department. Valencia has always brought players in, and I'm going to look to do the same. It's going to be a big focus of this series. I really want to bring in as many Spanish players as possible, because we don't have all that many. And quite frankly, it's easier to mold a young player into what you need him to be, especially when you need specialists, rather than teach an old dog new tricks. So this is definitely a good way to do it, and something I'm going to be placing a lot of focus on. Now, I was hoping to get a decent youth player, and boy did I strike gold. Enrique Salinas is a 67 overall with 82 to 94 potential, 5-star skills, 5-star weak. Can I just take a minute to review the many ways in which this guy is absolutely ridiculous? He's 6'4" with 93 jumping. 93 jumping. Who is this man? Like, this is insane. The guy is absolutely nuts. He has 79 sprint speed at 6'4". He's got good stats basically everywhere. He's got 75 shot power, 71 attack positioning. This guy can play in any position. I can mold him into anything I want. And it took me a while to decide what exactly do I want from this guy. Because with 89 strength, by the way, 98 aggression, who is this man? I can play him as a CB. 6'4", no problem. I can play him as a CDM. He's got great pace. I can play him out wide target man. This guy can play so many different roles, but I'm gonna keep him as a striker / cam. His height will come in handy. I know his technical stats are not the best, and I've been harping on the fact that I need short passing, and for now I'm leaving him unbalanced. I'll keep him in the youth team as long as possible so that he can improve without actually having to play games. Hopefully he increases a few overalls, and then I'll bring him into the first team, and I'll start training him specifically for short passing, because he definitely needs it in our system, no matter who you are, even if you're this wonder kid Salinas. But I'm gonna try to get his offensive stats up and make him a striker cam, and this guy is just a gem. I have no words. And all our other players actually are quite good. They're all high 80s, potentially low 90s potential. So maybe if we hit even just one of them at that potential, that would be great. And they really are a good crop of players. We'll increase them as much as possible in the youth, and then we'll try to loan them out. But I'm really satisfied. And like I said, guys, I'm going to put heavy focus on this, and hopefully we can bring in a number of players from the youth team into our first team. Okay, time to go to the local restaurant and update our contracts. If you've watched a career mode series of mine before, you'll know that I try to play as realistically as possible. I created my own rule set for this, and since we're in Spain, we have to follow the La Liga rules. Everyone is mandated to have a release clause, so I went in, updated that. I didn't give it to Solar and Gaia, however, because I wanted to give them a 1 billion release clause, right? You don't want these players to leave. In fact, they've been at the club since they were kids, since they were 6 years old. They haven't left yet, and if Valencia do good, there's no reason for them to go. So I've made a decision that I'm never going to transfer these guys. They're here to stay for the entire series. I usually don't do this, but I made an exception. If you want to check out my rules, the ones that I play with in depth, check out my Realistic Career Mode video that'll drop in a few days, or go to the link in the description below. There's a Google Drive with a PDF in it. Definitely check that out if you're interested in taking a look at exactly what kind of rules I play with. Okay, the contracts are sorted, and I put the players up for sale. The ones I mentioned I'm not going to use, and it's time to see how much extra transfer fund we can generate based on those player sales. The first offer we got was for Maximiliano Gomez. A great offer, guys. 48 million for Red Bull Leipzig for a player I deemed expendable. And it's nothing personal. He just doesn't fit my system. He's a great player. But we got a great haul. The board gave us 44 million for this guy, and that's going to help immensely in trying to change the squad and place them where I want them to be. We got an offer for Racic. I declined. He's a keeper, and Aston Villa is not good enough to pry him away from us. Jason, I sold for 3.5. Now 3.5 here, 3.5 there. It all adds up. Then we had an offer for Vasquez, and it's a loan offer without an option to buy. It's not something you get every day, and I'm really happy. He's going to grow in Brentford. It's a great move for him. There was an offer for Guedes, and I am not inclined to sell this guy. Leon is not good enough, and quite frankly, 45 is a laughable offer. But I am wary that this guy may end up going, because if a better club comes in, I'm forced to sell him. There was an offer for Diakabi from Genoa. It's a 2-year loan, and I thought this was perfect. Let's loan him, see what becomes of him, and then we'll decide after he comes back. Then we had an offer for Cheryshev from Everton, and I sold him for 7.5. I'm satisfied with that. Every little bit counts. We had an offer for Vas, and you guys know I don't want to sell this guy. He's the perfect utility player, and Sociedad is just bad enough where we don't have to sell him. Now, a quick rundown of how this works. We are a 78 rated team. Sociedad is an 80 rated team. I have to sell if a club comes in that's 3 overalls higher or 3 ratings higher, because the rating is based off of overall, whether you play in Champions League and what league you play in. So that's just a quick rundown of how it works. Sociedad was only 2 above us, so I didn't have to sell. I thought maybe if I get some really good offer, I'll sell him. They didn't want to pay 33 million. Understandable, he's a 32-year-old, so that didn't go through. And then we also sold Pizzini. Like I said, every little bit counts, and we upped our transfer budget to 110 plus million, and now we can finally make a dent and really bring a number of players in and start implementing the 3-4-3 diamond system. All right, guys, it's time to unveil some of my transfers here. I can't wait to show you. Alright guys, our first signing is Nahitan Nandez from Cagliari. I paid 18 million for this guy. He's listed as a right mid. He can play a number of positions, which is good, but I'm actually going to convert him into a right back. He doesn't have electric pace, but he's no slouch. But he's a modern fullback. He has 93 stamina, high defensive work rate, high attacking work rate. He has 80 short passing, which was really important for me. He's got 75 attack positioning, which is good because he'll be getting into those positions more fluidly. And he's got decent stats all around otherwise. So this is a great signing, I think. Our next signing is Joey Veerman from Heerenveen. 24 million, a little bit steep, but 84 vision, 82 short pass. He's got 4 weak foot. We're going to improve that even more, and he's going to be an orchestrator from the middle of the park. We really need this. The next guy we bought was Moriba, an ex-Barcelona prospect. He had a release clause of 13.3 million from Red Bull Leipzig, so even though he just joined, I was able to snag him, and I mean, he is going to be one hell of a player if he develops. He's got the passing. In fact, he's just got great stats going forward. He's got that box-to-box feel, and we really need that type of player in the midfield as well. Our next signing, and in my opinion, the biggest signing, is Charles de Ketelaar, 24 million from Club Brugge. And I mean, there's this Salinas feel about this guy, but he's a little bit different. He's so much more technical. He has such good technical stats for a guy who's also 6'4". He's got good stamina to go with it. And he's listed as a striker, but I'm actually going to play him as a central attacking midfielder who holds up play and then distributes it and gets into the box for crosses or for cutbacks. He's got high attacking work rate, high defensive work rate. That's always good. For weak foot, he's a peach of a player. My favorite signing of this series for sure. And the last guy is Alexis Vega. This is an under the radar buy, guys. Guadalajara, his contract was ending. I snagged him for 10 million and he's listed as a striker with 74 overall. But if you actually change this guy to a central attacking midfielder, he's a 77. So he's really good. And if you look at his stats, they are really quite good. And he's a short player, but he has 76 strength, so he can hold up the ball. He's got a good finish on him. He's got great passing and he's quick. So I'm really excited for this guy. In fact, I'm really excited for all these signings, guys. I hope you like them as well. These are the 5 signings that we're going to go with for now, but we're always looking to improve. Alright guys, time for my favorite part of this video, the in-depth tactical analysis of how we're going to play the 3-4-3 Cruyff Diamond system. First off, we play out from the back. And I'm going to set the goalkeeper on sweeper keeper so that we can play an extremely high line. Now, our center back, which we're only going to play one, is going to be Paulista. He's a libero. So he's going to drop back and ping balls out to the wingers or lay it off to Racic, who's playing that Guardiola role in this system. Our left back and right backs are sort of more offensive players. They're not exactly defensive specialists in this 3 at the back system. They're expected to bomb forward, to join the attack, to make long horizontal runs and offer themselves for passing options as we move forward and attack. Now, the most important player in this whole formation, in this whole system is Racic. It's that Guardiola role who sits there, and Cruyff used to call him the master of angles, right? So you want him to offer himself as an option for a pass always. And he's the one who dictates the tempo, who dictates the whole system. The whole possession is basically funneled through him. And the way we're going to set him up is he's just going to sit there, balance defense, so he's not going to do anything in specific in terms of cutting out passing lanes. He's going to keep shape. He's going to stay back while attacking. And he's going to make sure he doesn't overextend himself to intercept, so conservative interceptions. He's going to always cover the center, but his positioning freedom, and this is very important for this tactic to work in FIFA, is free roam. Because you always want him to get open for that pass, so that Paulista or Vaz or Gaia are always able to pass to him. It's very important. And that's where this tactic starts. Now, in terms of the central midfielders, Veerman is going to be a little bit more balanced as opposed to Soler. He's going to be that secondary playmaker if they cover Racic, which teams usually get wise to, and they start putting a man on that Guardiola role. So you want Veerman to be that secondary option to pick up the ball, and he can start initiating the offense, which is why it was so important for me to bring in a guy with excellent passing, and Veerman is the best passer in our squad. In terms of the other central midfielder, Soler, now he is a bit more of a box-to-box feel, right? He's going to get forward, he's going to ghost into that box, and he's going to get into the box for crosses. He's really that more offensive, from deep type of player, right? But the most important thing in this midfield is for them to always create these triangles, and you can see that triangle in midfield. Cruyff was obsessed with triangles, and it's because you can pass so well, right? So you want as many triangles on the pitch as possible. Our central attacking midfielder is De Ketelaere, and it's very good that he's 6'4", and this was by design that I bought him. Because you want him to be able to hold up play. You want him to get the ball to feet, lay it off, and then make surging runs into the box, right? And since he's 6'4", he'll be able to get into headers. Again, the top 4 guys that you're going to see here, Guedes, Vega, De Ketelaere, and Musa, will all have free roam as a positioning freedom. And that's very important because you want these guys to essentially never stay in the same position. You want them to confuse the defenders and create sort of how do you call it, misshapes in their formation. You want them to be all over the place so that you can find these little holes that midfielders will dart through or wingers will take up, and then all of a sudden you've got a one-on-one, right? So that's exactly what you want in this situation. Now, in terms of our wingers, the player profile here is a guy who can beat a man, and obviously the short passing, because they're going to be in and around different positions. It's a possession-based system, so we're going to be passing, moving, and then getting into different positions, running into the box and trying to make things happen. So chance creation is always free roam, but support runs is always come short because you want them to be an option for a pass. And then all the front guys are obviously getting into the box for crosses. If there's ever a cross, you want as many people in the box as possible. And the same thing goes for the other winger. In terms of the striker, it's never a classic striker. It can be, and Cruyff did adjust to this later on, but classically it was Laudrup, the false nine. You want him dropping into the midfield so that he attracts a center back and he creates spaces for midfielders like Soler to run into, wingers like Guedes to take up. This is very important, and you need this guy to be able to drop into midfield, also to give you extra numbers. You always want to dominate the midfield. We already have 4 players in the midfield, and Vega is dropping for a 5th, all with great short passing. You can just think how devastating that is. It potentially can be just so devastating if you play this correctly, if you have the type of players that Cruyff had in that Barcelona system. It can be deadly. The tactics of this system largely depend on possession, but what you want to do defensively is this, and Cruyff always said this, you want to press after possession loss. You want to play as high of a line as possible, which is why we're going depth 100. We are going to play as high as possible with 1 CB. It's as dangerous as it gets, and we're going to press after possession loss. We are going to be very open to counters, but the idea is we're going to keep possession high up the field, and then immediately when we lose it, we're going to try to get it back. This is done by Guardiola and Klopp in different ways, but this is exactly what we're going to do as well. Now, in terms of width, when we defend, we're going to go very narrow because you want to defend narrowly and attack as wide as possible. Cruyff always said, if your guys are close to each other and you only have to defend 2 meters to the left, 2 meters to the right, a very small area, then I'm the best defender in the world. If I have to defend 10 meters, then I'm the worst defender in the world, right? So you want to defend as compactly as possible and attack as widely as possible, which is why I said attacking width to 100, because you want to get the ball out wide, stretch the opposition, and then bring it back into the center. That's generally the idea of this formation. The build-up is going to be slow. We're going to make sure we don't lose the ball. We're going to keep possession. And then once we're in the final third, that's when the free roaming will start to come into play. And guys will start moving around, confusing the defenders, and we're going to find the holes, the spaces, and abuse it. Now, in terms of players in the box, corners, and free kicks, this is largely preference. I'm just going to put it in the middle of the road and adjust as the season goes forward. Now, sometimes you can't afford to play a 3-4-3. This is usually a good formation against 2 strikers, sometimes against certain different formations, but when a team plays a 4-3-3 or anything with 3 attackers, it can be very dangerous. And sometimes Cruyff did play the 4-3-3. So we're going to have a sort of variant of the 3-4-3 so that, for example, if we play Real Madrid, I'm not sure I'm comfortable, especially early on, playing a 3-4-3. Maybe I'll be brave, but it's better to have an option. And the difference in this formation, because largely it's the same concepts, triangles, all that good stuff, you want to just drop and have an extra CB. The roles are pretty much the same. The only thing that's different is now Soler and Veerman are both going forward and getting into the box. And the other very, very important change is that the left back and the right back are inverted fullbacks. So they no longer overlap and make those long horizontal runs. What they're going to do is they're going to tuck in. And this is very, very similar to Guardiola's system. So essentially what you're going to have when they tuck in and go forward is you're going to have a 2-3-2-3, right? So this is a very modern setup. Guardiola and a bunch of other coaches play this, and this is a variant of the 3-4-3 that I'm going to use personally when playing maybe bigger fixtures or harder away fixtures, and teams that tactically set up with 3 attackers or something very offensive, because I don't want to get exploited, and it can go either way. We can either have 80% possession and dominate and win, or we can just get absolutely annihilated on the counterattack. So I'm very excited to try this system out. I've never played with 1 CB before and 2 attacking fullbacks, but I'm excited to try, and I hope you guys like this.
Ahí va ese Getafe tan duro de roer en cualquier campo. Y ahora quiero oíros bien fuerte. ¡Salen Valencia!
Alright guys, the first game was against Getafe, but I have to say the system was working early on. The libero has the ball and he has passing options. He can ping it out wide to a winger, give it to a fullback, or Racic can get the ball. He was open as well. Eventually he does, and look at this. The triangles are there. He can play it through the middle. The wide players are stretching the pitch. The players are doing exactly what I want them to do. We eventually progress it up the field, cut it back, and another simple layoff from Racic. Soler gets on the end of it, and it's a decent opportunity. We had really good possession early on, guys, but we did try to vary it up, put the ball over the top. It didn't work. But immediately when we lost the ball, look at this. 2 guys already pressing. We get the ball back, and that's the name of the game, guys. Press after possession loss. And look at this. We're now in their third and have dangerous opportunities. We have a few. They kick it out. We get the second ball. There was a number of shots blocked here. Eventually, Wiedemann gets it to Soler. And it's 1-0, guys. 1-0 in the 17th minute after some great play, great tactics, and it was a deflection, right? You saw it, but I don't give a damn because it's 1-0, guys. What a start to this career mode. I'll take it any way I can get it. I was really happy with that play. But obviously, there is weaknesses to this formation, and it's counterattacking. So Getafe did it decently well. Early on, they had a few okay chances. Nothing too scary. Silason had a standard save here. But they would continue to do this. When you do lose possession and have 1 CB, it can be scary. And Silason had to make a few saves. That's how it goes. They get a corner, and like I said, we're going to play out from the back no matter how dangerous it is, and boy, is it dangerous sometimes. We play it out well, though. It gets back to Silason here, and this is what you need to do as a goalkeeper. This is why City brought in Ederson. Mid to long-range passes. You beat the press, and then you're on the attack, and this is exactly what you want. Guedes, nothing out on the wing, okay. Slowly bring it back. Look at this. Gaia makes the run from the vacated position, and then Musa. Look at Musa run. And he's roaming and finding himself in acres of space. Okay, it doesn't come to him, but that's great positional play. We try to cross it to De Ketelaere to get the header because he's 6'4", but it could have just as easily been a cutback. And then we play it around. We keep possession, again, recycled by Racic. Great passing. Vas in the vacated position of Musa, and he smashes it in, guys. What a goal from Vas. And is this not total football? Is this not total football? Your right back is surging into the box and banging it top corner. I mean, this was a belter. And this formation early on, it's just proving devastating, guys. I love it. Getafe didn't have an answer for us, guys. We played a very good second half. Played exactly like we wanted to. There was a number of short passes early on, and Soler gets on the end of it, and it's a quick 3-0, guys. This is perfect. I couldn't have dreamed for a better start, and the system is working. Everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're getting into good positions. Soler, his instructions are to get forward into the box. That's exactly what he does, and we kept possession very well. We dominated possession. It's such a different system than I play with on the Everton career mode. On a side note, if you haven't checked out the Everton career mode, definitely recommend doing that. It's a completely different system, but we play electric football, so definitely check that out. But like I said, look at the possession we're keeping, and this time we vary it up. We put it into the box. De Ketelaere gets on the end of it. Doesn't work this time. I brought in some subs, trying out Vallejo and Nandez. Nandez can play in any position, really, so I'm trying him on the right wing in the meantime. And there was a bit of madness. Maksimovic, I guess, had enough of us having so much possession, and he got his second yellow. He got a red, and I mean, at this point, I bring on Moriba, give him some minutes. But what do you think is going to happen? I mean, like, this system dominates 11v11. What do you think is going to happen when they go a man down? We kept I don't know, 90% possession probably from then on, and Racic is just a master at dictating tempo, a master of angles like they call him. Vallejo gets it here, Veerman makes a run, and he cuts it back to Vallejo. 4-0, guys, and this is music to my ears, because that is the epitome of this formation. Give it to Racic, let him distribute, have runners, confuse the defense, and this guy ghosts in for a goal. And what a start to this career mode. A home win, 4-0 in the first game. The system is working, the formation is working, the player instructions are working, everything is perfect. I'm having a ton of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I really do. And I will see you next time, guys. Laters!